Welcome to Abnormal Media, communicating impact for climate, nature, people, and development. On another segment to discuss faith diplomacy, joining me is Bishop Kukah. If you could kindly introduce yourself to us.
My name is Mathew Hassan Kukah. I'm a bishop, Catholic Diocese of Sokoto, and Sokoto is extreme northwest of Nigeria.
Mm-hmm. Nice to meet you from Kenya. It's a wonderful pleasure to be seated next to you.
Thank you.
Quickly going into the discussion, our natural minerals enrich the north at the expense of our African nations and communities. What is the African nations doing wrong in this aspect?
Well, I mean, you touch a sore point, because this is the tragedy of Africa. Mm-hmm. And it's even more so for those of us who call on God's name as priests and imams and sheikhs, who believe that God created the world and that God gave us enough to be able to live in dignity. We can understand in historical context why the British colonialists did what they did, but what is unforgivable and largely unpardonable is the rather irresponsible way in which leaders have managed the resources of Africa for the people of Africa. The wars, the conflicts, the bloodshed, the tears and the sweat over the years. Africa ought not to be where it is today. And it is, as I say, to our eternal shame that many African children are still going to bed with no food in their stomachs. And there's so much. But my own country, Nigeria, is a perfect example of how not to use the resources of a country for the welfare and well-being of its people. Banditry is consuming a substantial part of our land. The mineral resources in Nigeria are now being harvested largely by bandits and criminals with very good protection, from those who really ought to. So I think that when you speak about the environment and speak about the resources and speak about the number of people who are dying in Africa, it is a sin that cries to God for vengeance. But we are not talking of vengeance in a negative sense. So what we're dealing with now is just how to help our people come to terms with the very basic issues of equity and human justice. And Africa is coming very late to the table.
Wow. And hopefully that we can do better and we can see Africa for what it is, the land for what it is, and sober leadership to actually deliver this country in a better way, because we have everything, as the bishop said, to satisfy our needs again. And just moving on, what do you see as the role of faith in the quest to achieve energy efficiency, and especially in this case of Africa? And you've talked about Nigeria as a case study.
As I said, those of us who are, of course, everybody's got faith. It depends on faith in what. But those of us who believe that the world we live in is given to us as a treasure, we have a need for a greater sense of urgency in calling attention to the fact that looking after the world is our responsibility. And I'm happy as a Catholic priest that Pope Francis led the path in this way by publishing an encyclical Laudato Si, which has really gotten resonance across the world. And it's a call, it's a wake-up call. And as you can see from what is happening, God has his own way. But you can see even from the comforts of the United States of America and California, what happened over the last few weeks. This is to suggest, that climate justice is not just about poor people asking to be looked after. It is a call for all of us as human beings. So our hope is that in our churches, in our mosques, our men and women who are in parliament and who are in positions of authority right across Africa, almost every leader goes to church or goes to mosques. So it's important that they themselves become much more aware of the urgency, of, as I said, fixing the environment, but also dealing with the issues of, environmental justice. And I think that there's nowhere else that this can be done better than in Africa, where 90% of our people call on God in different forms and in different shapes.
That indeed we are blessed with many energy sources that we can tap into. Finally, Bishop, we want to look at that camera and inspire the African child, whether they are old, young, female, male. Give them a word of encouragement and inspiration today.
Well, you know, we're a very young continent. That's the truth of the matter. A majority of in Nigeria, for example, the average age is 16. I think as an old man, I feel guilty that we've messed up a lot of opportunities, but I call on the young people not to give up. We have a country to build, we have a future to build, we have better resources now, we are better equipped, smarter than the rest of us, but again, this comes with a lot of responsibility. And I think the first place to start is to be concerned about the quality of your life, the quality of your own environment, beginning from whether you are helping your mommy keep the kitchen clean. So all of us are involved in this business, but I think it's the responsibility of all of us, because increasingly the world is moving at a very fast speed. So the young people, we were young yesterday, and now we're old today. Those who are young today will be old tomorrow. So let's do the little bit that we have. We have more information. The young people have far more information now than we had when we were also growing up. So there's a future for us to build, and Africa is the continent of the future.
Africa is the continent of the future. If you cannot get that into your brain, then you better migrate to Africa for us to show you how to build this Africa. So let's take these words of encouragement from Bishop Kukah and really shape the Africa that we want, with our strong religious backgrounds and really as human caretakers of the planet that was bestowed upon us by our Creator. Till next time, it's been Faith Diplomacy, Paul Mutuku, Communicate Impact for Climate, Nature, People, and Development. Thank you.